juice. Everything she says is truth. If you don't know now, you know. All you ever gotta say is heard that, heard that, heard that, heard that, heard that, heard that. Look, all you ever gotta say.
What's up, Heard That Nation? Listening in the United States and around the world, you are now listening to the Heard That with Marisa Tigney podcast. If you're watching right now on YouTube, hit that subscribe button so you stay in the know of every guest and every new episode that I have on the show. This one, I believe, for me, will be the hardest show that I will do. I want to start before I say why it's the hardest one for me. To thank everyone that has messaged me, that has checked on me, and I appreciate it. And it's because of the events that happened on February 13th in my home state, in my home city of East Lansing, Michigan. I'm originally from Lansing. I lived in East Lansing. I worked in East Lansing, and pretty much have done some student work when I was out there as a student out there at East Lansing. So, and I'm familiar with the campus. I'm familiar with the dorms. I'm familiar with a lot of area historical buildings that are there right there on campus. So the events that took place on the 13th, let me start for what had transpired to me finding out. I was on a podcast show that evening, and we were talking about, we were giving a recap of the Super Bowl. And a great show, great vibe. I had an amazing time. Got off of that podcast, jumped on another IG show, the Natasha Simona Sequence, and she has a fantastic show that she does Monday through Friday nights on Instagram. And I was in the audience just chatting it with people, and somebody had to say, "Hey, Marisa, did you see what was going on at MSU?" Sports-minded myself, I'm thinking something happened, you know, some 5-star recruit came on for like either basketball, football, whatever the case was, or, you know, big breaking news that took place. So I turned on the news, and again, from and worked in East Lansing, I'm familiar with the campus itself. I have never seen the heavy amount of police activity that happened that was on campus. Literally every street that I'm familiar with, from Harrison Road, near Berkeley Hall, Acres Hall, you go right down into the heart of the campus itself, was shut down. And then on the screen itself, it said active shooter. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, this can't be happening. This can't be happening. We're in February. And I think at that time, before this horrific situation took place, I believe it was 70 or 70. I think it was in the 70s. I don't want to give exact numbers because I don't know exact numbers. It was in the 70s. We're not even 2 months into the year, a full 2 months into the year of mass shootings. So saying on the news that it was an active shooter that was active there on campus, and then the campus was locked down. So I had immediately gone on social media, you know, to see updates, to see what was going on. And I have a lot of colleagues that have students, their kids on campus. So I was checking in with them first, like, hey, anybody got, you know, that's working on campus? Does it have anybody have a student that's on campus? You know, how are your kids and everything else? And some people checked in with me and said, you know, my kid got his door secured in a dorm, or they're at the library and they're not allowing them to leave. You know, all this feedback and all this online chatter is happening. And so I check in, also, you know, I'm looking at current events and current news. And here's the thing with media, and I will say this, and I'm going to continue on with my story. If it's something that is big and gratuitous like this, of this magnitude, you definitely want to be right with your information. Whether you're media, everybody's got an iPhone, so they're, you know, recording what's happening, taking pictures of, you know, suspicious activity. And the thing that you don't want to do is accuse a person's group of something of this magnitude and know that you're wrong. There was a lot of that was happening, and I'm not going to call the individuals out. That was a lot of, Twitter just for a click, a like, having people panic. And a couple of the accounts on Twitter that I can definitely post and call them out, but I won't allow that in my space, that had incorrect information, incorrect photos. The people that they thought were responsible weren't even the people that ended up pulling the trigger and injuring all these people, which led to 3 fatalities. And so I'm just stuck to the TV. I'm talking to my husband and corresponding with him, and I'm like, what is going on? So I'm trying to call and see what was going on. The service was shut down. I didn't know what was happening with the power lines that was going on with the phone, the service, and everything. And so I'm on, texting people, seeing if they're okay. They're texting me back. So I'm like, okay, great. Texting works. It's awesome. And so I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. I'm like, everybody, please check in. What's going on? Who's on campus? Everything else. And then I'm telling people that I know, hey, the information you have on there, make sure that it's correct. Don't post something that it's not just because you saw somebody else post it up. We want to make sure that it's right. And so shout out to Michigan State Police, that they have a Twitter handle, and they were posting what was going on and keeping everybody updated. Michigan Police and Public Safety, they were keeping everybody update of what was going on, and when the press conferences was and everything else. And to me, I'm watching this and I'm like, this cannot be happening. This another mass shooting. And mind you, this is almost the 5th year. It was almost the 5th year anniversary of Stoneman Douglas High School, that mass shooting that happened on Valentine's Day. And so I'm watching the images, like this is right around the time for me to go to bed. I'm watching these images. I'm watching the breaking news. I'm trying to keep up with the updates and everything. And people are inboxing me. Hey, Marisa, how you doing? What's going on? Do you have people that are on campus? Are they okay? And everything else. And I'm trying to, send them messages back. It's like, hey, they're good. So far, so good. Everything else. So I'm seeing these updates of people getting hurt, people getting shot. And then they said that one person was killed. And then my heart sank because, again, it's my hometown. It's my home city. It's where I lived at before moving to Ohio. And then I moved to Texas. And so I'm just in shock. This is happening again. And the one fatality, they give the update, and it turns to, unfortunately, from 1 to 3. And then it talked about 5 people were in critical condition, and this gunman is still on the loose. And I'm thinking to myself, why is this happening again? Why? Where is the policies? Where's, gun control, gun reform? And literally during all of this, like it just didn't feel real that this is happening in my city. And the one image that I saw on the news, because I was clicking back and forth, and I was watching it on CNN, had these students that were outside, and they were talking to the media and how they were feeling, and they thought this was a couple of students actually of the gunman coming in their class, where he got into the classroom. And so throughout the night, they had these students that were able, thank God, to reconnect with their family, their loved ones, and thought that they were going to get harmed. They thought that their life was they were going to die right there on campus. And so you got all of this activity that's happening, and these police cars that were everywhere. And I'm just sitting there just watching this all unfold and seeing what happened with the people that had lost their lives and the people that had critical condition and everything else. And then they had another press conference and everything else. And I'm grateful for the fact that I didn't have to work the next day, and I didn't have any appointments the next day. The only thing I was going to do is record an episode and get on there and talk about the Super Bowl, give my episode and everything else and my take from it. And all of that was irrelevant to me. And I did an Instagram live, and those that follow me on Instagram, Marisa _Tigney _podcast. And I had woke up that next morning, Valentine's Day, and I just sat there. And I'm like, I just find this therapeutic. I said, I don't know who's going to click on here. I don't know who's going to be listening to me. I don't know who's, going to be chatting with me. At the moment, I just wanted to go on there and record. A vulnerable space, just woke up, hair, I pulled my hair back, sitting on the edge of my bed and just box of tissues and just let out all of my emotions. And, just a lot of questions. And I'm like, why did this have to happen? Why this individual had no connection with Michigan State and its campus and, the student body and all of that. And the individual did, when police did approach them, took his own life. And I'm not going to mention his name on the show. I'm not going to give him any kind of space whatsoever on here. I'm not going to do that. The three people that unfortunately were deceased was 2 juniors and a sophomore. Ariel Anderson was a junior from Grosse Pointe. Brian Frazier was a sophomore from Grosse Pointe. And Alexandria Werner was a junior from Clawson, Michigan. And these 3 beautiful souls had their lives ahead of them, robbed by someone who was selfish and didn't care. And just his motive was to go in there and do harm. And it did harm, and it didn't affect a lot of people on campus. And, 5 people are still in the hospital. I think the update is that 2 of them are still in critical condition. 1 moved from critical to serious, and 2 are in fair condition, still in the hospital. And out of this tragedy, out of this unfortunate, horrific tragedy, is where you saw the power of compassion and love, and from all sides. And many of you all that have followed me on this show now for almost 3 years know that I talk sports, I'm a Michigan fan, and all that. And that, the rivalry between Michigan and Michigan State, all of that, it was secondary. It didn't even matter at this point. To see people from all walks of life, to see the Big Ten, different schools and different teams, Michigan, Illinois, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Indiana, Purdue, Iowa, Penn State, Rutgers, Maryland, come and be that support for Michigan State and be that support for the student body, the athletes, the teachers, the faculty, the coaches. It was powerful to see that. Everybody, whether you attended Michigan State or not, was Spartan strong. Everybody. And that was just so incredible for me to see that. Michigan and Michigan State played the other night, and to see Coach Howard and his staff and the players all wear Spartan Strong t-shirts and buttons. Coach Barnes, Erico, to see her team all wear Spartan Strong, as well as her coaching staff, to see other teams pour their support into everybody in East Lansing. It was an incredible thing. To to see Coach Izzo full of emotion before the Michigan State game. You just saw where people rose up to the occasion and realized that hate and any form of that had no place on that campus, and that everybody was going to do whatever they can to support Michigan State University. And, you know, from the White House to around the world, literally people around the world, you can see that online and in the news and on television. It was so amazing to see that. I'm still gutted from it. I'm still sad about it. I have tissues nearby in case I break down on my own show, because it showed me a couple of things. One, how people can come together in times like this, in a serious situation like this, and wrap their arms around the people that are hurting. And it isn't about rivalry. It isn't about points. It isn't about standings. It isn't about, getting ready for a tournament of any kind. It's about humanity. It's about love in all of its purest forms of it. And that's what was showcased throughout the hours and the days and the weeks. Because again, this happened on the 13th, and we're almost done with February by the time this episode drops. Hate had no place being on that campus on the 13th of February at night, Eastern Standard Time. And it still has no place. There are questions that I still have. And I hope that they get answered, especially for these families that are impacted, realizing that their child is never going to come home. I gut for them. My heart breaks for them. I hope that there is some kind of law from the House of Representatives, there in the Senate, there at the White House, to a city that is hurting right now, and many cities that have been affected so far this year with unfortunate gun violence. The image that really, really stood out to me, though, Heard That Nation, is that there were students on the phone calling their loved ones, letting them know that they were okay. But there were a couple of students that were wearing Stoneman Douglas t-shirts, sweatshirts. And I felt for them in the way that this has triggered them again, because they dealt with this coming up, and it now already has been the 5th year anniversary of that horrific day that happened on Valentine's Day. And I lost it. And I lost it seeing that. And that's an image that I'm not going to shake. And there's several images that I'm not going to shake from that day. But from that day, I'm hopeful that some laws will come out in that city, especially with those 3 families that are grieving and the other families that are impacted with the 5 people still in the hospital. Something has to change with gun control and gun reform. Something has to come forward. And I'm not a politician. I don't make the laws, and I'm not political savvy by any means. I'm just a person that is a voter, has this podcast, talks about, things of sports and entertainment and movies for fans, by fans, talk about mental health and wellness, talk about small businesses. but I do have a voice, whether it be out there to the masses, those that have followed me, and I appreciate all the support. I really do. And again, thank you to those that, have responded to me after I posted my emotional video on Instagram on Valentine's Day. But I'm a doer. And, I want to do so much for my city, and I want to act. And people that have known me for a very long time know that I am a public service servant of my surroundings and what I can do, how I can help make an impact in nonprofits and work in the community and all that. So I'm going to link up with some people. I don't know where to start at. And, those that hear this and send me a message and DM me and all that, and I appreciate that, of where to start with, because I definitely want to get involved. That's my home. That is, Lansing's my home. East Lansing's my home. That's my city. And do I know everybody in that city? No. But I know many people. I know enough people to where, a group of people, it takes one match to light a flame. But it takes many people to light their matches and the flames to grow and to shine brighter and to be brighter and to spark change. And that's what I pray for. And that's what I hope for, that change does happen. Not only for my home city, but around the world. And many cities and many states have been impacted horribly by these events. It's just sad, and something needs to change, and something needs to happen. And so I will continue to speak on this, and hopefully, do whatever I can on this platform and beyond, out there in the community, to help with change. And I welcome suggestions, especially those that are there in East Lansing and Lansing and the surrounding cities. What can this woman do to help? Because that's what I definitely want to do. So I appreciate, again, everybody that has been supportive and shown their love for East Lansing and the city of, in the state of Michigan, and those amazing people. I am praying for those families of those that had to hold services for their children. And I'm not a parent. I'm an auntie, I'm a friend, I'm a sister, I'm a wife. So I cannot imagine what these parents are going through burying their children. I can't. Or any person that had to bury their child. I can't. I can't picture that whatsoever. But I lend my support, and I lend my heart to all of those that are impacted in that beautiful city that I'm from, that I'm proud of. I'm proud of my city. I'm proud to represent a city that I love and the people that are there. So follow me for more updates on Her That with Marisa.com on my website. And I appreciate everyone's support, and I thank you for those that are listening and that were watching. And as I always end the show, take care and stay safe and love everybody. Hate doesn't belong here. And I'm out of here.